Hey, everybody, welcome to Movie Show Plus. It's so good to be with you. Tom Santilli here, film critic, here as always, of course, with Greg Russell himself over there. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Tom, good to see you.
You too, man, as always. We haven't had a chance to get together here in maybe a month or so, or maybe more than a month.
Time has become irrelevant. It seems like we were either together last week or last month or last
Could
year.
have been yesterday. It might have been a few years ago. Who knows at this point? Yeah.
It's just
whoever's in the other Zoom window, we just start chatting to them about
Right.
movies. That's all. Yeah, it doesn't
Right.
matter anymore. Well, Greg, a year ago it's been now as we record this episode. We've just had the anniversary of the lockdown, really, where it's been now a year. Our lives changed, of course. All the lives that have been lost, all the tragedy that has come with this. With our industry having not been in a theater going on a year, what are your thoughts now that we just hit that milestone? How are you feeling about stuff, and what do you think? It looks like, where are we at right now?
Like you said, it's so weird. Where, as well, think about 2020. It seems like, oh my goodness, that was the year that lasted so long. But in reality, it's gone. And kind of like went by somewhat quick, because
weird.
March 12th last year of 2020, which was a Thursday. And the main reason I remember that is because the next day was Friday the 13th. But on that Thursday, that morning, I was in New York doing interviews with Octavia Spencer and Blair Underwood for the new movie Self-Made, the Madam C.J. Walker movie, the story. And it was just so weird because, Tom, you've been in, like the hospitalities before. And normally, people are just all kind of like mingling around and, just sitting with each other and stuff. I just remember it was just kind of like very strange. Everybody was, you were close with your friends, the people who you really know. But then other people, everybody's kind of like, and then they even let us know that there won't be any handshaking when you go into the room. Now, mind you, this is before any of the rules or anything came up.
Sure.
And the thing was, I flew home that Thursday. I was going to be home Friday and then fly out Saturday to Sunday to LA for another thing from Netflix. As soon as I landed, I called my rep, Katie, at Netflix. And as soon as I got her on the phone, she said, "Hi, Greg, don't worry. We've canceled everything."
We canceled everything. Wow.
And it's like from that moment on, boom, just been right here in the house and visiting people just like you and I are right now. I mean, I've done more Zoom calls than I probably ever thought I would have ever done Zoom calls in my life.
And the future of the business, the whole thing is changing because of this, of course. And some of these things might be around forever. Speaking of how things change, the big news right now, but of course, too, the Oscar nominations just came out. We're going to get to those in a minute. And we got more coming up on the show, too. A couple interviews with Greg, some more movie reviews, all the normal stuff. But I want to let people know, too, that, we're both members of Critics' Choice Awards. It's clearly we're in the middle of the award season. The Golden Globes was kind of a major disaster this year, from the voting to the stories about the group to the actual broadcast. The Critics' Choice Awards was on the CW, and unfortunately, you can't plan these things in advance. It just happened to be up against the Oprah interview with the royal with Meghan Markle. And so it's like, I'm not sure how many people saw the Critics' Choice Awards, but it was a good time. And I thought that how they did it is probably a little bit closer to what the Oscars might do. What are your thoughts on how Critics' Choice went and what we might see with these award shows kind of easing their way back into, actual people in a room?
Right. No, I agree with you. Also, another thing that was on that same night was the NBA All-Star Game. So only thing missing would have been Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr doing a Beatles reunion concert with Eric Clapton, playing.
On the moon landing or something.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But no, I agree with you. I thought our show, and I'm not just saying it because, like you said, that we're members of, definitely looked better and felt better than the Golden Globes. And now, true enough, our guys had even told me, of course, they all watch the Globes, just to see. And they picked up on things of what to do and what not to do.
That's true. Yeah.
But like you said, ours went smooth. I like the way, that whenever who won our award, boom, the camera's just on them. We don't need to see everybody else sitting around, trying to smile. And it just had this kind of like nice being at home type feel, because it's like a lot of the folks were dressed like you and I are right now.
I could have used less Instagram filters from Tay Diggs, the host. But
yeah.
other than that, it was cool that some of the presenters were like there with him. So like it was still kind of like we were getting some people live, most of the nominees were through Zoom. But yeah, it was an interesting mix, and it'll be interesting to see what the Oscars do. They have the advantage of another month or two of people getting vaccinated, and things hopefully edging towards what we call normal.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing normal anymore. So
yeah, what is normal? We don't. Normal has never existed on this show, at least. So who knows?
No.
Speaking of the Oscars, though, before we talk about some of the stuff, let's go through the nominations. Everybody, here you go. Here were the Oscar nominations for this past year. So Greg, there was a lot of history made this year with the Oscar nominations. Before we get to that, though, the one thing that again stuck with me this year that I just am upset about, I guess, is the Five Bloods just kind of getting really, really overlooked. Delroy Lindo is the big, glaring one, was not nominated by the Academy. And even he won, by the way. The Detroit Film Critics just put their awards out. Delroy Lindo was our best actor pick.
All right.
But he was not nominated. And The Five Bloods, only one nomination, and it was for best score. So no Spike Lee, no film, no screenplay, nothing. What are your thoughts there?
Like you said, I think, Lord really knows, but maybe it depended on when the movie came out. Because sometimes if they come out too early, everybody all of a sudden starts looking towards the fall and winter for those movies, and those are the ones that stick in your mind. Yeah, that's the one thing that, honestly, to me, just maybe is what happened. It just came out too early in the year, where all of a sudden everybody saw it. Everybody, remember, we all loved it when it came out, but then by the time the end of the year rolls around, it's like you've got Ma Rainey, One Night in Miami, and all these others that are right there and they're fresh. So that's the only thing I can think of.
That's a good point. Always the early year releases, and that's why we call it award season. All those films that they're hoping will win get those late releases. Now, of course, we will have an Oscar show of some kind, like we normally do, as we get closer, where we'll go through each category and give people our picks and things like that. But for now, I just wanted to maybe touch on some of the things, some of the history here. I'm gonna read off of my screen here because I did not memorize all this. But Stephen Yeun, is a Michigander. He went to Troy High School. First Asian American actor ever nominated for an Academy Award. He has broken the mold. Riz Ahmed, first Muslim to be nominated for Best Actor. Now, of course, Mahershala Ali is Muslim, who was nominated and actually won in the supporting category, but Riz Ahmed is the first as Best Actor.
Mm-hmm.
You had the female directors. There's never been more than one. And of course, this year there are two. Emerald Fennell who did Promising Young Woman, and as well as Chloe Zhao from Nomadland. On that note, I guess this year was also a record for the total nominations of women. 76 nominations overall for women this year, which is a record any year. You, of course, had Chadwick Boseman, posthumously nominated for an award for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. You got Viola Davis, who, again, crosses another barrier as being now the most nominated African-American actress ever, with her nomination in Ma Rainey. Right. Judas and the Black Messiah is the first all-black production team to be nominated for Best Picture. And I will also say this, that as far as ageism, there's a lot of ageism in Hollywood too. Oh yeah. Anthony Hopkins, for The Father, at age 83, has now become the oldest person ever nominated for actor. And we got an 89-year-old Anne Roth, who is a costume designer, nominated for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, who was nominated this year. 89 ties a record for any Oscar at any age or any category. So that's pretty good. I just listed off a lot of those things, Greg. Of all those things, which ones to you stick out or are the most notable, would you say?
Wow. Well, like you said, Judas and the Black Messiah, I mean, like you said, an entire, crew of African-Americans, putting the movie together. That's fantastic. And also, something that young filmmakers like here in the city of Detroit, take notice of that, and when you start doing your films, get your buddies together and do it, in a good way, a professional way. Then also just the Anthony Hopkins thing. He did a fantastic performance in that movie. And as a person who, went through it, like with my mom, with the dementia, it was like therapeutic, just watching it. And it was just like, oh my goodness, that's what happens. This is what goes on. So he did a phenomenal job.
What a fantastic film. The Father in general too was really rewarded heavily. It's up for Best Picture, adapted screenplay, even editing, and also Olivia Colman for supporting actress. And it gets, people get tired of hearing Anthony Hopkins or Meryl Streep over and over again. But this movie really, really was one of, if not Hopkins' best performance ever. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it sure is. Right. Yeah. But like I said, if you're tired of hearing their names, then put somebody up there in a better job, who does a better job.
Exactly. And it's hard to find. Yeah, that's for sure. Go ahead.
I was just saying, and also like you said about, the two female directors, being nominated, Emerald Fennell, which actually her movie, Promising Young Woman, is my favorite.
Yes. Yep.
movie of the year. Even though I think Regina King should have also been nominated for One Night in Miami.
Big snub.
So, put that out there as well. But yeah, it's, always something, and unfortunately is going to be left off. But it's like, sometimes, hey guys, check things out. Look at, the films and the different things like that, and not just put your buddy in.
Exactly. Speaking of One Night in Miami, Leslie Odom Jr. This is an interesting fact. There have been people in the past, like Barbara Streisand, Lady Gaga, who have been nominated for an acting category and for Best Song. But Leslie Odom Jr. Is the first male to ever do both of those things. So I thought that was an interesting fact. Yeah. And so, last but not least, in terms of the record making this year, and you can again appreciate this, is Netflix dominated. They had 35 nominations overall. The record is 45, which was set back in 1941 by United Artists. And it says here too, the Best Picture category this year, there were no major studios represented. You had only streaming platforms and indie groups like Netflix. You have Amazon, A24, Focus, Searchlight, Sony Classics. But you don't see Warner Brothers or any of these big.
Exactly.
Wow. I mean, not Netflix 2 years ago, 3 years ago, people were like Mudbound. Do you remember that movie? Like,
Nice.
how
Yep.
great was that movie? What is it doing on Netflix? And then
Yeah.
3 years later, they're dominating the Oscars. It's and they're trending upward, not downward.
Right. And people go, oh, it's showing in the theater. What was it? Is it bad? Why are they showing it in the theater?
Yeah, exactly. Why isn't it on the streaming platform? Why are we putting it just in theaters? That's an interesting transition. Well, Greg, like I said, we have lots more coming up on that. But why don't we just get into what's out this week? There's a couple new films. I got some reviews, like I mentioned, and we have some interviews with you that we'll get into next. So let's just dig in.
Here we go.